Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unfiltered Tales Season 5, Episode 19. I am your host, Rod, and today we coming from way down yonder, way across the pond. We're coming from the outback of Australia. Well, this will be the second show that we did in actually Australia. So, how you doing, Nadine?
I'm great, thanks, Rod. We were just chatting before we went on air, and it's the next morning here for me. So you're at night, and I'm in the morning, and I think we're different seasons as well. But having been now the morning from the day before, it went well.
Yeah, hey, so it's morning time there. It's getting nighttime here. Actually, the sun's going
Mm,
down. Lights off. But we bring you in today because you are an incredible author, university lecturer, and medical academic.
mm. Medical radiations.
Medical radiation. Okay. Before we get
Yeah.
started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am Australian, as you know. I'm based in South Australia in Adelaide. So we're literally down the other part of the world. Um, I'm a mother of four daughters. They're all
Mhm.
grown up now, which is really nice to see. I'm autistic, so neurodivergence is very much a way of life. But I was only diagnosed last couple of years ago, so I basically lived my whole life being autistic and not knowing. So
Mm,
that's been a huge impact on my writing as well as my lived experience. So I'm a published poet, so an
mm-hmm,
Australian poet. I write about everyday life, and I've
mm-hmm,
just got a new book out called The Grey Between, which was published in July. So it's all very fresh out there at the moment.
mm.
And I'm a radiographer by trade as well. So I take x-rays and do CT scans and all that sort of stuff. So
Okay. All right.
mixed bag.
Yeah, it's definitely a very mixed bag. So you overcame some trauma in your life, to raise to resilience.
Mm,
You are a abusive survivor of childhood and martial abuse, murder abuse. You actually re-educated yourself.
that's
So
right.
is it accurate to say that writing poetry became your way of processing the pain and trauma?
Absolutely. Yeah. Poetry for me, well, writing for me was a real lifesaver.
Mm-hmm.
It was always there. And I think more so as a child, because I was autistic but didn't know it, I found it was really hard to communicate with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also dyslexic. So the whole uh, reading and writing to start with was much of a challenge. English is not my first language,
Mm-hmm.
so sort of threw that into the whole equation. Sort of, it didn't start off on an easy walk per se. So I really didn't speak until I was probably at school learning
Mm-hmm.
English properly. So for me, when we got into sort of writing, I didn't sort of really equate it as, oh, this is going to be my life saving sort of process. But as I progressed along, I found just writing words down or being able to sort of write what I was experiencing or things that I could hear, I would jot down. And eventually, I think as I got a little bit older, early days of school,
Mm-hmm.
I suddenly realized that that whole process was enabling me to sort of objectively look at my world and kind of understand where I fit into it all.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, probably not till I was about high school, that we were introduced to poetry, particularly. And I suddenly realized that I really had an affliction for it. I really resonated with the words that I was reading. And I really wanted to be able to be that emotive, but on paper. So,
Mm-hmm.
again, I didn't equate that with actually being a poet or writing poetry, but I liked that sort of emotive feel that I was getting from reading it.
Right.
And then understanding that when I was reading poetry, that I could follow more so than reading just regular books. Just reading at that point was really difficult because of the dyslexia. So
Mm-hmm.
poetry for me became an easier read, not easy, but an easier read. So it's kind of like this mixed thing, the being able to express myself, express my emotions, work out through that sort of writing process what was going on, and being able to sort of get that pain out that I was experiencing, that we all experience when we're young, that sort of being able to regulate myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as things started developing in my life, like when I was 9, I was in a really bad train crash, which obviously impacted me with post traumatic stress. So I could write those experiences out, a lot of intergenerational trauma
Mm-hmm.
growing up. And so those sort of things made it out on the page. And eventually, I think leaving school early, and I think that was a mix of not being able to cope with school per se, because I basically fell through the cracks. No one knew I was dyslexic or autistic, and
Mm-hmm.
basically just was labeled as someone who didn't try very hard or was rebellious or whatever it was. Um, First point of call I could get out, I got out.
Mm.
So, which was, it's kind of sad when you look at it, because there were so many things that I kind of aspired to be so young, but there was never that support that should have been there. So I remember, like, when I eventually got into teaching myself, I really wanted to be, and I feel like I'm rambling on now, sorry,
Well,
but
no, because you
I,
said English wasn't your first language. So what is your first language?
it's actually Russian.
Russian?
Yeah, yeah. My parents were basically born in it was Ukraine, but it was the Russian speaking part of Ukraine.
Okay.
And so they were very much multilingual. My dad spoke, oh, like he spoke, I was going to say European, he spoke
Mm.
European. Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, English, French. So, and mum's got a whole half a dozen up her sleeve as well. But they
Okay.
both escaped Europe separately when they were young. Uh, they sort of basically escaped the war at the time. So they had that whole post traumatic sort of stress as well. And it just lives on, unfortunately. It's just this sort of cyclical thing. Anyway,
Okay.
I've digressed. So for me, writing was like this lifeline. And then I left home, eventually got married, found myself impacted upon that. At that time, I had 3 young children,
Mm-hmm.
and writing was a lifeline at that point. It enabled me to get all the crazy stuff out of my head and helped me. And then I kind of found along the way I was actually quite good at writing poems.
Mm.
Sent some off, got published, and that sort of became a pathway for me that helped me with my mental health.
Okay.
And then when the marriage imploded, basically I was uneducated. So, and I thought, I've got these 3 young kids. I really don't have a means to support myself, let
Mm.
alone the children. And so I basically went back to school.
Yeah, and
And
that right there fathoms me right there, where like most people can't fathom leaving like high school early, and then you finish high school in your 30s. Then you completed
yeah,
multiple degrees and became an academia, while raising 3 girls in a hostile
four, four,
environment.
I had 4 at that
Oh
point.
yeah, 4. Okay, so okay,
Well, I had
with another
3.
one.
I had 3 when that first marriage broke
Okay,
down.
so
So yeah, I did, went back to school, did all that sort of stuff. And when I was at university, I actually met my second husband, my current husband.
okay.
And eventually it's so sweet. We were like, first marriage was over at that point, and there was like this group of 6 of us. We were like older, mature students, all older adults. We formed this study group,
Mm,
and by the end of the year, it dwindled down just to myself and my future husband. So we
mm-hmm.
became really good friends and sort of studied through university together and got engaged the following year. And then in our final year, we got married in between our final exams. It's really crazy times, but had a fourth child with him, and yeah, so there is a light at the end of the tunnel, basically. But for me, yeah, it was hard times because I basically, when the kids were little and I was going through high school, I would
Mhm.
basically drop them off at school and then take myself to school and study my butt off. And then any breaks, I'd just be hitting the books and then pick them up, go home, feed them, bathe them, do all that whole routine, help them with their homework, put them to bed, and then I would do my homework. And often it'd be like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd actually get to bed. And I wouldn't recommend this for uh, clarity of mind, but I
Mhm.
needed to do it. And I think the thing is, if we all have something in life that we want to achieve, we make time for it, even if
Mhm.
it is at the expense of some things. I think sometimes it's the end result we need to be focused on. And I was so focused on getting a career pathway that I could be financially independent,
Mhm.
something that I could be uh, responsible for myself. So I wasn't enabling other people to put their agendas onto me.
Mhm.
And I think that's the thing. Often we sort of feel like we're in the midst of stuff, and everyone's entitled to feel they are in the midst of the challenge. Life
Mhm.
can be pretty hard, and it's okay to wallow in that for a little while, but at some point you need to realize you've got to pull yourself up and say, hey, well, what is it that I actually want to achieve? What do I need to get me from A to B? And for me, it was to be financially independent. And
Mhm.
I thought the only way to do that is to actually get some sort of career where it will generate enough money, something that I would enjoy doing for a long period of time, and that I could house myself, house my children, and get on with life.
Mhm.
And for me, it just made sense to go back to school and finish what I didn't finish. And fortunately, I stumbled across a really supportive teacher who basically opened my eyes to say, hey, I'm not stupid. And I thought I was,
Mhm.
because of the neurodivergence, the dyslexia. My first husband was not very kind to me as far as my mental capacities.
Mhm.
So he was, without sort of being saying nasty things, but he was very emotionally abusive, psychologically abusive, financially as well. So it was a struggle. And I think we all need just that one person in life to say, hey, you can do this. What is it that you would really want to do without putting any restrictions on yourself? And she was the one. She basically said, what is it that you want to do? And then she said, you can achieve this. Just work at it. And I did. And the marks became very apparent, and things just started. And then it was just this little switch. We need that. We need someone to say, you can do this, I think. And it all just kind of hard work, but it did start falling into place. And I finished high school. I went back and I originally did year 11 and then year 12, which was like our final year.
Mhm.
Got a really good university entry score, got in to a medical radiations degree, became a
Mhm.
radiographer, worked in the industry for a decade or so, and then fell into the academic teaching. So I was teaching medical radiations at the University of South Australia, and I ended up doing that for like 12 years.
Mhm.
And I came to it with the understanding to myself that I wanted to be that supportive teacher that one teacher was for me, and hopefully along the way I did sort of make an impact on students. And I found I actually had a lot of neurodivergent kids in my class too, so it was kind of good. I could connect with them, and support them. But yeah, so that was my way of becoming resilient. I think the writing,
Mhm.
that was the crutch that I sort of leaned on, and that got me through uh, those hard times.
Mhm.
And along the way, I ended up being able to sort of produce. the grey between as a manuscript from it, which is really good. And now that's out there, and now hopefully I'm connecting with people that may have been going through those sort of challenges, and they can sort of read some of the poetry in there and connect with it and feel that they're not alone. And, if they want to get out of whatever they're in, that it's possible,
Mm-hmm.
because I've done it and many others have done it. But we all need to sort of realize that we are the ones that basically control our life, not whoever's doing stuff to us. We enable them, um, but we do have the capacity to remove ourselves from that situation and go do be something better, or something that will give us peace. And I find that I'm in that now. I have peace in my life. I have a wonderful, supportive husband, beautiful grown up girls. They're all, my youngest is 20, but the others are all in their 30s. And I can now write to my heart's content and just live the life that I always felt I was. Oh, now, entitled's probably not the word I want to use, but I want to live a peaceful life, and I'm there now doing
Okay.
that. So, yeah.
Got you. So, do you believe forgiveness is necessary for healing and moving on?
Now that's like the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? And for
Mm-hmm.
me, people are going to go when I say no. I don't think forgiveness is necessary. I think it's acceptance. And for
Mm.
me, and I can only talk about for myself.
Right. Talk about
I
yourself.
don't I don't have the capacity necessarily to feel that forgiveness is necessary to be able to accept the situation that has occurred.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that people are people, and I try to accept them at face value. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. If you sort of go along in life expecting someone to be how you want them to be, you're always going to be disappointed. And the thing is, it's about accepting the reality and not the fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that I got that early in my life, like in my 20s. I realized that people are literally who they are right in front of you. And it's up to me to accept, well, okay, that person is this. Do
Right.
I feel safe with them? Do I like what they're doing to me or whatever? And if it is, great. And if it isn't, someone needs to move on. And
Mm-hmm.
it's usually me or it's them. So my father was quite physically abusive towards me. He used to hit myself and my brother a lot. Wildly loses his temper. Like, he's now dead, um, quite a few years ago now. But he would just be crazy person when he got angry. And some of the things he used to do, it's like I can't forgive that, because
Mm.
that was stuff he did to me. But I accept that a lot of what he was doing is just purely reacting from his childhood
Mm-hmm.
and the things that he had experienced. And this guy, he just didn't know any better. And yeah, he was an intelligent man, but sometimes we're just so controlled by how we grew up and the experiences that we've experienced, that for him, he was already on his path. I had the hindsight to see that behavior, or the emotional intelligence to recognize what's going on. And I didn't like it. So I left home, and I left home at 17. And I think, yeah, okay, I never had to say to him, I didn't challenge, why did you do this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Because that was never going to go anywhere. He was the type that you couldn't confront. And I'm not one for confrontation either. I feel it's never really worked for me. But what I felt was more important was that I could recognize where it was all coming from,
Mm-hmm.
and had a half idea as to why. And also realize, well, it wasn't me.
Right.
He's just reacting. And so best thing for me was just to extract myself out of that situation and get on with my life. And
So
so for me, it's about understanding and probably accepting, but not condoning. I'm not condoning bad behavior upon myself
no,
or
I
upon
understand
others.
that, but
Mm.
that brings me to the next question because your book now, The Gray Between, explores deeply personal themes like abuse and motherhood. How did writing these topics impact your healing process?
It's the process of actually writing. It's being able to get the pain that I was feeling out of my body, out of my head, getting it splayed out on a piece of paper and being able to look at it objectively and think, well, hey, I'm not a
Hmm.
bad person, you know? And I I was literally just doing the best that I could at the time, and it doesn't always work.
Right.
We don't always get on with everybody that we're supposed to be close to. And motherhood, I was very much going through postnatal depression,
Hmm.
impacting upon just I mean, motherhood on its own, wow, that's a challenge at the best of time. And there I was, three young kids, not really getting the support that I was expecting that I would have, just feeling this isolation, and then the sort of the abusive stuff that followed as well. So for
Mm,
me, writing was a lifeline. I didn't have people that I could sort of pull up and say, hey, this is what's going on in my life. I didn't have that. I
mm,
really felt so isolated. And a lot of my friends that I thought were my friends actually ended up siding more with him. So I kind of lost everything and I had to start from scratch. So a lot of what's in the book is really 20 to 30 years of my experiences that have impacted upon me and how I've worked through it. It's like my therapy, it's like a cathartic process out on
mhm,
paper. And it kind of has helped me to survive those moments that could squash a person, you know. So I guess it's just the book is my resilience. It's there in black and white, and it just shows you life, and we all experience that basic stuff, motherhood, you know, uh, parental problems, relationship problems, uh, young love, older love, death. It's all there,
right.
with a little bit of spice in between.
I got it. So before we get one more thing before we get out of here, your poetry tackles everyday challenge that many your poetry tackles everyday challenges that many people can relate to. How do you find inspiration in the ordinary?
Yeah, I think, no, I don't think anything is really ordinary. I'm always looking for something beautiful in everything. I mean, I love just being out in nature and just sitting and quietly observing. And I think that's just me. But there's always something that we can find that will give us that sort of peace. So
Hmm.
it's not hard, for me. And I'm always jotting things down. I just carry these notebooks around with me everywhere, and often it's what a lot of what I draw from is just day to day experiences, brushing up against people, overhearing conversations, spotting something that looks pretty. It could be just, I've suddenly seen a spider web in a tree, things like that.
Mm,
I mean, just jot these things down. And then later, when I feel like writing, I'll pull the book out and it's like, oh yeah, the ideas are there, and I just sort of work on them. And or sometimes I'll just wake up in the middle of the night and it's like, oh, I've got to get that down, and I'll just churn a poem out and work on it later to sort of edit it a bit. But sometimes it just comes out. And it's just because my brain is just thinking constantly, and often I guess at an unconscious level, it's working, 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 working these things out. So yeah. Would you like me to read a poem?
go ahead. Close the show out with a poem. Go ahead.
Lovely. Okay, this is the book.
All right.
Okay, this one's a nice one. This one's called Cone Treasures. The young girl runs among the sea of spent pine cones, grey with sun's affection, but lacking now amidst winter rain. She grasps the beige umbrella, cool metal wields white knuckles. She holds it upside down, earthbound, gathering mud splatters. Her pink cheeks bellow, content with pine cone treasures and gentle rain. Rain that lays her skin like dew on cold daybreaks. Then the wind steps in, reaches the pine trees, shoves them right, left, makes their green heads embrace. Old mates, loving friends. She hears the trees creak, crack like whips flicked into air, watches the pine men shake weathered hands, release their coins. Her young fingers fish them out of her pine sea. Her umbrella, the lifeboat drifting, the metal rod, a mast pointing, the pinecone sleep, and she, their saviour, the lifeguard.
You like that? That was nice. So where can, if somebody wanted to read the whole poetry book, where can they get the book from?
Okay, so The Grey Between is available globally on Amazon and in
Okay.
America, Barnes and Noble as well, or they can get it directly from the publisher, Hill of Content Publishing. So, yeah.
I said I like that. Thank you for sharing, and you got some
Oh,
claps
thank you.
over here. So,
Thank you.
thank you for joining us all the way from over from Australia. I know you probably about to go eat or watch something because it's morning time over there. Get your coffee or whatever that you need to do. Thank you for coming.
Thank
Remember
you,
that
Rod.
you can reach her if you need. It's been running on the bottom of the screen,
Oh, yeah.
nadineellis.com. It's been running on the bottom of the
Yeah.
screen the whole time.
Also, if anyone's interested, my Instagram, there's a lot of new current work on that, and that's at Nadine Ellis Poetry. So that's all one word, NADINEELLISPOETRY. Nadine
Okay.
Ellis Poetry.
All right. So that concludes today's show. Next week, I don't even remember who's on next week. But I'll let you guys know during the middle of the week. So remember, same time, same channel, 7 p.m. next Wednesday, 10/8. We'll be back. Thank you again, Nadine, for coming and share your
Thank you
poetry
very
also
much,
sharing your
Rod.
story. Make sure you pick up the author of The Gray Between. Make sure The Gray Between, you pick up her book, her poetry book, available in Barnes and Nobles, available in Amazon. See you guys next week. Thank you for coming and
Thank
listening to
you.
us one more time. Unfiltered Tales.